Hey, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna talk about top 5 best AMD graphics card. Starting at number 5. GeForce RTX 3060. As we approach the lowest end of the price and performance ladder with NVIDIA's desktop Ampere lineup, the cuts to processing power may have gone too far. This is the first GA106 card, with a 192-bit memory interface and 12GB VRAM, which is quite a bit better than the RTX 3050 but still a big step down from GA104. With 26% fewer GPU cores compared to the 3060 Ti and less memory bandwidth, overall performance is only on the level of the RTX 2070. So, 2.5 years later, you can now match a $500 graphics card with a $330 alternative. Unfortunately, demand still surpasses supply, and the cheapest RTX 3060 cards typically go for around $400. At present, it's a $125 jump to the 3060 Ti, making this or one of AMD's offerings a much better value. On the other hand, discounting ray tracing and DLSS. In our testing, the RTX 3060 ends up being roughly the same performance as AMD's RX 5700 XT, 18 months later. Not exactly something to set the world on fire, but then that's typical of mainstream parts. With DXR and DLSS, however, the 3060 can even trade blows with AMD's RX 6800. Coming at number 4. Radeon RX 6700 XT. Start with the Navi 21 GPU and then cut down the various functional units to create a smaller die that can sell at lower prices, and you have AMD's Navi 22 and the RX 6700 XT. The RX 6750 XT is basically the same GPU, with a slight boost to clock speeds, memory speeds, and power consumption, about 5% faster overall, but with a 10% price hike. The 6700 XT has the same number of GPU cores as the previous generation RX 5700 XT, but significantly higher clock speeds and more cache give it about a 25% boost to performance at higher settings and resolutions, at least. When we tested AMD's RX 6700 XT, it hit clock speeds in excess of 2.5 GHz during gaming sessions, and that's at stock on the reference card. That's very impressive, and factory overclocked cards can push even higher clocks, though they also cost more. In our performance testing, the RX 6700 XT traded blows with the RTX 3070 and RTX 3060 Ti. It's a bit faster than the latter, and a bit slower than the former. So the going price of around $480 is reasonable. Still, if we include pretty much any games with DLSS or ray tracing, the 6700 XT comes in behind the 3060 Ti and almost looks like a 3060 competitor. This card has moved up in our overall rankings thanks to its excellent online prices. It's currently available at prices starting just below the official MSRP, and it costs about $50 less than the cheapest RTX 3060 Ti while delivering comparable performance. Keep an eye on the newer RX 6750 XT as well, as it could end up being a better option if prices continue to drop. At number 3. GeForce RTX 3090 Ti. For some, the best graphics card is the fastest card, pricing be damned. NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3090 Ti caters to this category of user. At more than double the official starting price of the RTX 3080, performance is only moderately better, 20 to 30% in most workloads. It's also only 5 to 10% faster than the previous RTX 3090, with an even higher MSRP. But looking at online prices, the 3090 Ti may only cost a couple hundred more than a 3090. And who are we kidding? Anyone seriously considering either of these probably doesn't need to worry about a few Benjamins. The RTX 3090 Ti will reign as NVIDIA's top GPU, until the next generation NVIDIA Ada Lovelace GPUs arrive. It's not just about gaming, of course. The RTX 3090 Ti has NVLink support, which is arguably more useful for professional apps and GPU compute than SLI. The 24GB of GDDR6X memory is also helpful in a variety of content creation applications. Blender, for example, frequently showed 35% higher performance compared to the 3080, and over twice the performance of the Titan RTX. Just watch out for lower than expected performance in some of the SBEECViewer apps, where the Titan RTX has additional features turned on in its drivers that aren't enabled for GeForce cards. You'll need the even more expensive NVIDIA RTX A6000 for the full professional driver suite. AMD's RX 6950 XT challenges the RTX 3090 Ti in traditional rasterization performance, and wins in a few SBEECViewer tests. But if you want the absolute fastest graphics card right now, NVIDIA wins. Especially if you run games with ray tracing and DLSS enabled. Just don't be surprised when NVIDIA's next generation extreme GPUs arrive and make the 3090 Ti look like lukewarm gravy. Number 2 of my list. Radeon RX 6800 XT. AMD's Radeon RX 6800 XT is the best card for Team Red. The RX 6800 XT provides a massive boost in performance and features relative to the previous generation RX 5700 XT, as well as adding ray tracing support via DirectX Ray Tracing or Vulkan RT. In our testing, the RX Radeon 6900 XT is technically about 5 to 7% faster, but it theoretically costs 54% more. That's not a great deal, especially since you don't get more VRAM or any other extras. Do pay attention to the current online prices, however, as the 6900 only costs about $100 extra and might be worth the spend right now. 1 to 2. 4 GHz range, depending on the card model, and AMD did all this without substantially increasing power requirements. The RX 6800 XT has a 300 WTBP, slightly lower than the RTX 3080's 320 WTBP. A big part of AMD's performance comes thanks to the massive 128 MB Infinity Cache. It improves the effective bandwidth by 119%, according to AMD. We're confident that few, if any, games in the coming years are going to need more than 16 GB. So the 6800 XT is in a great position in that area. What's not to like? The ray tracing performance is mediocre. Maybe it's because DXR games are more likely to be optimized for NVIDIA's RTX GPUs. But overall, the 6800 XT comes in slightly behind the RTX 3070 in ray tracing performance. And there are several games where it falls behind by up to 25%. And that's without turning on DLSS, which even in quality mode can improve performance of RTX cards by 20 to 40%, sometimes more. And number 1. GeForce RTX 3080. NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3080 sports NVIDIA's latest Ampere architecture. It's over 30% faster than the previous Gen 2080 Ti, and supposedly costs $500 less. When we tested the new RTX 3080 Ti, it didn't manage to supplant the incumbent, thanks to its significantly higher pricing. However, do keep an eye out for the RTX 3080 12GB cards, which at present seems to carry about a $50 price premium, a premium well worth paying in our book. If you're serious about maxing out all the graphics settings and you want to play at 4K or 1440p, this is the card to get. Ampere also brings improved tensor cores for DLSS, a technology that continues to proliferate among recent game releases. NVIDIA's RT and DLSS performance are also quite a bit faster than what you get from AMD's new RX 6000 cards, which is a good thing as NVIDIA sometimes falls behind in traditional rasterization performance. AMD offers the universal FSR2, 0 as an alternative to DLSS, but so far it's only in a handful of games. Prices on the RTX 3080 have been extremely inflated for most of the past 2 years. But things are getting down to reasonable levels now. We typically can find cards for around $800, sometimes including the 12GB variant. It's not necessarily the best value, but this remains our best pick for a fast GPU right now. Check out this video description for latest price and more informations. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and stay tuned.